What's up, guys? Welcome back to another one of our videos. Hey, you're not going to believe the times that Nikola Jokic impressed the world. Nikola Jokic is steadily revolutionizing the center position. And with that huge revolution comes a lot of impressed fans watching at home. Whether it's an unbelievable play, feat, or game winner, Jokic just seems to do it all. The first time that Nikola Jokic was able to impress the entire NBA community was when he got awarded the MVP last season.
What is it like to be known as the MVP?
That was funny.
Funny?
Yeah, that was fun.
They're serious, man.
Why so serious?
Jokic had stepped up his game during the 2020-21 NBA season, and it was apparent that the Denver Nuggets heavily relied upon him in order to win ball games. Because of that reliance, Jokic was able to do everything on the floor. He averaged a career-best 26.4 points, 19.8 rebounds, and 8.3 assists per game. That's just shy of a triple-double average. Oh, and he also averaged 1.3 steals per contest to top it off. Jokic also checked off the availability box, playing in 72 games throughout the course of the season. Not only was it a crazy good season for the Serbian big man, but it was also a historic moment in the league. No center in the league has been able to win the MVP award since Shaquille O'Neal. For Jokic to be up there in the same conversation as Shaq, you know it's a very big deal. There were also zero questions about whether or not Jokic deserved the award. He was the clear winner for the trophy by the time the voting came around and was close to being unanimous. It wasn't just the stats that helped him claim the award either, but the circumstances he was forced to play in. We mentioned that he was basically carrying the entire team, but we didn't say that Jamal Murray missed the majority of this season. With Murray out, Jokic kept the ship afloat and somehow helped them end the season as the number 3 seed in a stacked Western Conference. Sadly, they did end up losing earlier than expected in the playoffs, but nonetheless, it was a huge moment for Jokic. And Jokic has just been that impressive throughout his entire career with the Nuggets, which is why he's had some tremendous games. This game was ridiculously impressive because Jokic dropped a career-high 50 points on the Sacramento Kings. Unfortunately, if you're a Kings fan now, you've got to relive this performance. Jokic played 41.5 minutes of this game, and it was clear straight from the start that he was bound for a huge showing. Fast forward to the end of the contest, and Jokic was sitting at 50 points, 12 assists, 8 rebounds, and 3 blocks. He was doing it all for Denver in a game that they didn't deserve to win. And ultimately, they didn't win the game. Jokic had to endure the pain of dropping a ridiculous number of points and somehow still losing the game, just like when Devin Booker scored 70 a few years ago against the Boston Celtics. Jokic wasn't just chucking up shots here either. These were all high-quality looks that he kept banking down. He shot 20 for 33 from the field, including 3 for 6 from behind the arc. He also knocked down all 7 of his free throw attempts. Everybody was impressed with Jokic and equally upset with the rest of this Nuggets squad. I mean, their second highest scorer was literally Paul Millsap. He had 14 points in 22 minutes of action. Now, Millsap's a great player without a doubt, but this dude should not be the second highest scorer on a team with guys like Michael Porter Jr., Will Barton, and Monte Morris all playing 35-plus minutes. It was a particularly bad day for MPJ as he shot just 3 for 11 and only scored 8 points. This all just goes to show how impressive Jokic is when he gets hot, because nobody was able to stop him while knowing that the rest of the team couldn't make shots consistently at all. You had all that defensive pressure on him, yet he still managed to drop a career high. The next instance that Nikola impressed the world was when he posted another career high, this time in assists. For most players, this would just be a casual stat line of 10 or less. For some, maybe even 12 to 15 total, but Jokic isn't most players. The Nuggets were playing the Houston Rockets, and Jokic was dishing out dime after dime, finishing the game with 18 assists in a huge win. They were able to win by double digits and overcame a 34-point game from James Harden. Jokic had just 19 points on the day, but helped 6 other players on the roster surpass double digits scoring the ball. Paul Millsap, Gary Harris, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, Will Barton, and Monte Morris were all in that group. Though many of you may be wondering what Jokic's turnover count looked like. because most of the time when you see a high number of assists, you think that's a terrific game, but the turnover stat is really a critical part to determine if you're a highly skilled distributor or a poor passer regardless of the other stats. So in this game, Jokic had those 18 assists and turned it over just 3 times in 34 minutes of action. An 18-to-3 assist to turnover ratio is pretty good. And mind you, a 7-foot center like Jokic shouldn't be able to do this. He basically showed every assist possible during this stretch, constantly finding open players or shifting guys open without even saying anything. It was an absolute masterclass of passing from the big man, which is why so many people out there were impressed by his performance. Alright, up next, we've got a huge game winner that shook the entire stadium. The past couple of years, Jokic has really been coming out as an incredibly clutch player, with some even counting 6 game-winning shots over the past year. This wasn't one of those as it happened back in 2019, but it was so impressive. The Nuggets were playing the Philadelphia 76ers, a stacked team with Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris on the court at the time. Denver had an ugly start to their possession, with the clock going under 10 seconds. One player missed a shot horribly after a Jokic pass, but the team corralled the rebound and somehow fought their way through multiple Philly defenders in order to get it into Jokic's hands with under 4 seconds left. Knowing the circumstances, Jokic just fired away quickly and even fell down, though admittedly he may have flopped a bit. Didn't matter though, he got knocked down and yet still drained a miraculous jump shot with a little under 1 second left in the contest. The shot put his team up by 1 point against the Sixers, and they eventually went on to win the game. This game was played in Denver as well, so when he hit that shot, it felt like the roof was gonna collapse. And let's stick with another game winner here next. This one was between the Nuggets and the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic and Jokic put on a show for the fans in this one for sure. Denver was up by 1 point with less than 10 seconds remaining in the game, and Luka sized up his defender, drove into the lane, and dunked it on 2 Nuggets defenders with 5 seconds left to give his team the 1-point advantage. Pretty much all the fans in the Nuggets arena were instantly feeling disappointed, but they didn't realize that they had one of the most clutch players in the league on their side. The next play started for Denver, and obviously the goal was to give it to Jokic and let him do his thing, and that's exactly what happened. He took the ball from behind the arc and drove into the paint, slower than he probably had hoped. He actually got cut off from driving, so he had to stop, fake a spin the other direction, then just say screw it and go up for a layup with the defender draped all over him. Jokic and the defender made contact that wasn't enough to warrant a foul, yet Jokic found a way to release the ball up high with his right hand while falling away from the basket with the clock at less than a second. It felt like the ball hung up in the air for hours, but it eventually swished right in as the clock expired, meaning Dallas had no time left to get up another shot and sealing the game for Denver by 1 point. It was just insane how he was able to distort his body like that in the winding seconds and somehow get a shot off that actually went in. The camera later panned to both Luka Doncic and the still playing Dirk Nowitzki, and both of them were just in absolute shock and disbelief about what they'd just seen. It looked like it was a mix of them just upset, frustrated, and probably impressed that he could knock that shot down. Or maybe they were just shocked that you aren't subscribed to our channel yet, guys. Come on, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't disappoint Luka and Dirk. Alright, now let's dissect a play that had everybody gushing over Jokic's insane basketball IQ. This happened a year ago when the Nuggets were going up against the Atlanta Hawks. Jokic got himself posted up right under the free throw line in the paint against a smaller defender. Jamal Murray was the primary ball handler on this possession and was searching for an opportunity somewhere near the basket. He eventually found his way to Jokic, who had his hand up calling for the ball. Murray sent it overhead to Jokic, but he didn't decide to catch it and try to score. Instead, he somehow caught a glimpse of a teammate cutting the basket, and without hesitation, he slapped the ball to his right and into the hands of his cutting teammate. In real time, it doesn't look all that impressive, but looking back at it slowly, you can really see how fast he made that decision. In just a second or two, he was able to keep his eyes on the ball through the air, then see the cutting teammate, then realize that the help defender was coming up to check Jokic once he caught the ball. We've seen a number of touch passes the last couple years, and most of them are pretty quick. However, it's rare to see it in this part of the floor and from a center who's 7 feet tall. Finally, let's wrap this video up by showing one more play from the Joker. Everybody always talks about having eyes in the back of your head, but sometimes it really does feel like Jokic actually does. During a game against the Rockets, Jokic caught the ball in the paint with 2 defenders covering him. He clearly wasn't going to score the ball, nor could he spin around and make a play. The Rockets seemed to have him trapped down low to the point where he had to pass it out to a teammate. And man, he passed it all right, not just to the person that they expected. With his back to the rim and 2 guys all over him, he flipped the ball backwards behind his head to a cutting Nuggets teammate who caught it right in front of him and dunked it for an easy 2 points. What made this all even more impressive was that Jokic seemed to do it so casually. He didn't put much effort or style into it, just simply saw the read before it happened and knew that he would have a wide open man cutting to the basket. The ball arrived at the perfect time, and the Rockets were so confused defensively, another guy tried to come over and block the ball, but to no avail. Thanks for watching this one, guys. If you like Jokic videos, make sure to watch all the times the Jokic family went too far next.